listening to the podcast A Resonant Life, produced by The Time Is Now Productions. I am Mike Thompson, your host and Reflector-in-Chief. In this podcast, we will discuss experiences and insights from living a life devoted to uncovering the authentic self and finding fulfilling purpose from the past, the present, and the future. This podcast is a product of my life and experience, and I'll share my opinions. Opinions between people are various, and we don't all need to hold the same ones. But it is fun to hear the opinions of others as it gives us an opportunity to freshen up our own. If you enjoy and gain insight from listening, please subscribe and share. If you have questions, please email them. And as always, nothing you hear here is a proscription or a prescription. It is a discussion of life and life's internal and external experiences. So let's get to it. Hello and welcome. As always, thank you for joining me today. Our work here will bear fruit. It should be bearing fruit already. And be confident. It will bear fruit because of our sincerity and our commitment to creating a better world for all. And the world needs us to work on this. Let's jump right in, shall we? From the title of today's episode, it is pretty obvious we're going to dredge up some negative baggage we're carrying. At least that I've been carrying. And we'll figure out how to release attachment to it and lighten our loads, so to speak, to release old negativity and unleash new positivity to relish and share. I'm hoping you'll work with me as I work on myself here with the hope that you too can unload some negative karmic baggage. The best way to start today, I think, is to start with a story, or rather a retelling of a recent experience I had. I was invited to a small social event to meet up with a friend visiting from overseas. And there was going to be a person there with whom I had not exactly a falling out, but I felt unjustly hurt and roughly treated by this person. A long time ago, actually. And I guess it's both complicated and like all complicated things, they're also simple. So it's complicated in that I could list out a bunch of small slights that led to one big negative feeling towards this person. Basically, however I want to describe it, I was carrying a grudge against the person. I knew well in advance this person would be at the gathering. And so I had a lot of time to prepare myself, as well as try to kind of shift my negative feelings into a different lane. And I really wasn't very successful at that. Not successful at all. I just couldn't picture myself smiling and being friendly when I met that person again. And imagining it in my head, it all just felt fake. So as the day of the gathering approached, I began to think of ways I could skip out of the event. But no, I couldn't, because I really wanted to see the person the whole gathering was about. Someone visiting that I hadn't seen since before the pandemic, maybe a year before the pandemic. Still, I was not eager about the event. I didn't want to see that other person with whom I was carrying a grudge. I didn't want to have to socialize with them. I didn't want to have to be polite. I didn't want to have to conceal from them and others my grudge. In fact, I wanted to scold them, to detail in very finite detail how they had hurt me. I wanted this person, basically, to feel the same pain that I felt, that they caused. Not my proudest moment. I was talking about this with a good friend recently. Not specific details, just sort of generically. And we ended up trying to define what a grudge is. What is a grudge? And it was interesting. It was an interesting conversation because we didn't really come up with or nail down like a real encompassing definition with words. Rather, we mostly talked about the feeling, how it felt to have a grudge, how it felt to carry a grudge, what the feelings are toward the person with whom we have a grudge. Our initial discussion was sussing out the difference between a grievance and a grudge. We asked if a grudge and grievance might be the same things. We felt no, they are different. And it felt important to make this distinction. My friend said it really well. He said, a grievance feels scratchy, prickly, chafing, without relief. It is very much something that is in the present and active. And the target of a grievance can be a person, but it can also be an institution or a situation. On the other hand, a grudge feels like something heavy. It weighs one down, like weights strapped to one's ankles or lead in one's shoes. It has a weight, a heft. And grudges tend to be old, moldy, and dusty. And they age. And they don't necessarily diminish with time. And they are very, very much attached to a person, not a situation. So checking our work with the dictionary backs us up on this. Always check your work. So grievance, quote, is indignation or resentment stemming from a feeling of having been wronged. Definition of grudge, a strong feeling of anger and dislike for a person who you feel has treated you badly, especially one that lasts for a long time. Thank you, dictionary. So it seems maybe also one of the characteristics of grudges is it seems maybe we can kind of forget about them. They're not top of mind. They're not always in the front. And we can forget about the people that they're tied to, meaning they aren't always 100% actively taking up space in our minds. They're not renting space for free. For example, I hadn't thought of this person attending the gathering in some time, quite some time actually. But the gathering made me remember, boom, as if it was yesterday. And then remembering this grudge and thinking about that person was like a domino. It caused me to recall suddenly other grudges and the people connected to those grudges. And at least 6 at the last count. So as I thought of and remembered each one, going through the details, feeling the feelings, feeling that weight and that heft, and the negativity, it was all just as strong as ever. And as you can imagine, if you've been following a Resonant Life for a while, this really troubles me. This is sticky, persistent, lurking negativity. I'm having a feeling that I don't wish other people well. My grudge prevents me from sincerely wishing them well, wishing them happiness, wishing they have good, healthy, happy, long lives. This is awful, and this is antithetical to everything we're doing here and talking about. Our project here at A Resonant Life is to change ourselves to be of help to others, and thus change the world around us for the better, toward peace. But this negativity of grudges is like, I don't know, an oil slick in my soul, pollution. It's like a forever toxic chemical. And now that I'm aware of it all, it really bothers me. And I haven't been able to wish away this negativity. I haven't been able to override it with positive thoughts. I haven't been able to forgive them and release the connection. Nothing seems to be able to dislodge these grudges. And I've tried. How about you? Are you carrying any grudges? Do they impact your life? Are you able to put them out of mind and keep them out of mind? Or do they resurface fresh as ever? For me, I don't want to put them and keep them out of mind, actually. I want to heal these wounds. I want to clean up this toxic crap that sits in my heart, soul, and mind. Okay, in order to do that, let's maybe take time to take a few steps back from my personal experience. Let's look at what classical Buddhism would recommend. Classical Buddhism generally defines negativities as karmic afflictions and habitual tendencies of past lives, habitual negative tendencies of past lives. And with the metaphor of Buddha as doctor, there is an antidote to be applied. In this case, the antidote would be to meditate and specifically cultivate loving kindness for the people with whom I have grudges. And going a bit deeper, classic Buddhism also says that my grudge and the person for whom I have the grudge are manifestations of negative karma coming to fruition, quite possibly negative karma between us from past lives. So I should also perform acts of purification to negate that negative karma and plant the seeds of positive karma. Think of it as weeding a field. There are numerous other ways classical Buddhism approaches a situation like this. There's basically as many ways to approach this as there are human beings on earth. But frankly, these classical approaches feel a bit dated and crusty to me. I agree wholeheartedly that I have old karmic business with those for whom I hold a grudge. Let's call these people my grudgees. But honestly, the negativity I'm feeling, it all sits with me. It is mine. It is my negativity. It's not their negativity. It's mine. And if I can transform this negativity, then maybe I can feel and extend grace to my grudgees. At least maybe I can get rid of the weight and heft of this negativity, at the very least. Our project here has been to use spiritual cues, recognizing a negativity and stepping back from it to stop its momentum as well as reverse it, taking that sort of like ego time out. Our project has also been to act, not think. To specifically act with altruism. When in doubt, do something nice, right? Do something kind, do something generous, help, act. Do it for others, not for yourself, for others. Also, our project here has been about recognizing that we cannot change others, but we can change ourselves. Like I said, my grudge is mine. It's not theirs. It's mine. It's all me. Sure, they may have done something that wasn't nice or it was rude, but the feeling I own this reaction, right? And we can change ourselves if we focus on overriding our ego, overriding our genetic primal urges, and instead act for others before ourselves. Again, altruism. As to carrying burdens, I guess we all need to ask ourselves, do we want to carry grudges around? Do I want to carry these grudges around? Do we want to carry that negativity? Is this a weight that's worth lugging forward in our lives in time? For me, the answer is no. And that is the first important step to unloading this and moving forward unencumbered. I want to take a tangent for a minute, and this is for those of you who have a hard time with spiritual cues. You know, sometimes it's hard to step outside of ourselves, to metaphorically stand aside and watch and observe our egos and our minds. Because our minds are too busy, right? Just too busy. It's hard to let go and unlock and unload and just chill. Yet being able to do so, this is a critical element of using our spiritual cues. But as I said, sometimes the mind's just too noisy, too busy, too angry, too full to be able to do that. For some people, their minds are just busy, 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 like wild horses, and the part of themselves of their mind that they can observe, they're just being bounced and bucked around with no control or ability to tame their racing mind. This isn't a deal breaker. If this is you sometimes, unable to focus or step back to act on spiritual cues, unable to just take that distance, this is a time to just sit. To sit and focus on breathing. This is what to do. Take the time, sit down, and focus on your breathing. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathe in and out. From the bottom of the belly, way down deep. Long, slow inhales. Hold it. Long, slow exhales. Hold it. And again. In, hold, then out, hold. And be in that moment with your breath. There is only you and your breath, doing only one thing and focusing on that. Breathing deeply and slowly. And your mind will start to pick up again. But in those moments, you have that quiet. It really doesn't matter how long you do this breathing. It doesn't matter if it's 30 seconds, 15 seconds, 1 minute, 10 minutes, or even 30 minutes. It doesn't matter, because the idea is to stop. Stop the racing mind for just a moment, even for a short time, because you start to exercise this control. The racing mind will actually start to respect you when you assert that part of you that can reflect. You'll find that you can quiet down and focus for longer periods of times. And you'll soon be able to just quiet down on demand, breathing deeply into the bottom of the belly, in, then out. A very special Zen Buddhist monk, Thich Nhat Hanh, he died at the age of 95 just a couple of years ago, 2022. He was a great proponent and teacher of this type of meditation, breathing meditation. He also promoted walking meditation, just focusing on the thing at hand. If it's breathing, watching your breath and focusing only on that, in and out. And if even that is still too difficult, then focus on the feeling of the air as it passes into and out of your nostrils. Just focusing on that sensation, that feeling. The idea is to get to a single point of focus. In walking meditation, one focuses simply on steps, one foot in front of the other, slowly feeling one's heel touching the ground as your foot slowly embraces the earth and plants itself and feels the earth as a steady foundation below, as you then lift the other foot up and feel your balance change, and you bring that foot forward, and then you set that foot down, focusing on the meticulous detail of walking. Okay. Try those things if you have a racing mind and you're having trouble stopping and doing the spiritual cues. Okay? So let's move on to the antidotes now. So Buddhist antidotes to grudges. I think one way we might be able to find a practical antidote to this is to do some time travel. Literally, do some time travel. To go back in time in my memory and look at the relationship with my grudgee and what happened. With a grudge, any grudge, you know what? I'm stuck in time. Literally, I am stuck in time, fixated on the moment of betrayal or hurt or wrong. Then what happens if I dig into my memory and trace the relationship back when it was, if not good, at least better? What happens then? Time travel. So if I recall the relationship I had with one of my grudgees, I will go back before the karmic wound, right? So the grudge sits here, it's frozen, but I'm going to take in my memory, I'm going to go backwards and remember the good things of the relationship before the karmic collision. I'm going to find those moments when we were on good terms, friendly, friends, civil, whatever. And there, I can find many moments in my earlier relationship with the grudgee whom I was to meet most recently. It wasn't perfect. our friendship, our acquaintanceship even, it wasn't particularly close. But you know what? The positive far outweighed the negative. There were many laughs. There were many fun conversations. There was our shared love of a common thing. For most of the duration of that relationship, it was positive. And I find right now, here in this moment, if I focus on that, I smile. Look, I'm smiling, right? The lengthy time we had was friendly with each other. Thinking of that, I feel lighter. I feel, we had fun. And I felt deep gratitude to that person for something that they gave me in time. So, this specific grudgee, they're basically the same person today that they were then, as am I. So basically, I let a karmic fender bender plant these seeds of negativity in me, and I've let these seeds fester and weigh me down, and looking at it like this here now, it all seems kind of ridiculous, really. That karmic fender bender happened. I can't erase that. And, sure, it hurt. I can't erase that. But on balance, I don't need to imbue that single moment in time. I don't need to imbue it with the power to freeze time, to freeze me in that moment of negativity. I need, in fact, to unfreeze that moment in time and let it go. What real importance does it have? None. Zero. It has no value. It has negative value. What has value are all the good times we had. That's where the value is. Rather than being fixated, be fluid. And you know what? I find I can do this with each of my grudgees, the 5 others, and I'm sure I can think of some more. And I can unshackle my heart and mind from all this negative weight that I have. And so you know what? I am going to do a thorough degrudging scrubbing. If you'll stick with me, I'd like to go a bit deeper. And this is more into the esoteric Buddhism side of things, okay? So enlightenment, enlightened mind. It's non-dual. It isn't you and me, black and white, up and down, right and wrong. No, it is. It just is. The English word used is suchness. When we do the degrudging scrubbing, we are approaching that state of mind, non-duality. We're not staking out territory. We're not making a claim to right. We're not drawing boundaries or making judgments. What we are doing is being with someone. Just being, accepting. That being, especially if we are doing so altruistically, putting others before ourselves, is stepping into non-duality without really realizing it, without conscious intent of doing it. Okay, this is tricky to understand, isn't it? Mostly because it isn't something to understand, per se. Because it is. Suchness. Something to experience. And we're not genetically programmed to see and experience things this way. We are genetically programmed to see things good, bad, safe, not safe, threat, not threat. But we can train ourselves to see things this way by letting go, accepting suchness. Shinyo Kyoshu, one of the 2 founders of Shinyo Buddhism, taught something that helps to make this more clear maybe. It gives us a roadmap to experiencing it more and more, experiencing this non-duality, this suchness. And the lesson is 3 words: faith, practice, understanding. It is a call to awakening to non-duality. Faith. Have faith in acting altruistically, to putting others first. Practice. Take action. Just do it. And do it again. Act for others. Understanding. As you do it, you will understand more deeply your mind, your heart, and your life. And with that understanding, you can extend your faith and do more, and act more, and understand more, spiraling into suchness. This is the manifestation of increasing wisdom. So what a freaking miracle this is, right? I started today with all the negativity of historical grudges weighing me down, taking me over, and here we are now. Here we are now with a way forward out of that negativity. A way to fix karmic fender benders and degrudge, scrub our hearts and minds, touching upon enlightenment. Thank you for helping me to go forward. I hope you're making progress too. These aren't things we can really do alone. We need each other. We are mirrors for each other, showing objectively who we are to each other. And I really look forward to exploring more ways of creating resonant lives with you, each of you. Please take care until next time. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast and want to hear more, please subscribe and share. If you'd like to share your own experience, thoughts, or ask a question, please send an email to mike@resonant.social. With gratitude, theme music is courtesy of Stock Audios, distributed by Pixabay. A Resonant Life is a podcast from the Time Is Now Productions.